but why don't you tell us a little bit about what the market need was or the driving force behind writing the paper?
Sure. So the driving force really was to take a look at the existing chemical criteria lists that are being used for indoor air quality assessment. Really take those and see which ones are the most relevant to product emissions, because not all of them do such a great job of covering chemicals that you would see coming off of a product. So what we did was we took the various criteria lists that are used internationally and nationally, basically compared those to product emissions to figure out which ones actually do the best jobs. And the reason someone would want to do this is to really look at the next generation of emission standards and really figure out what chemicals should we be looking for, because these chemical lists stay the same, but products change and the things that come off products change. So that's why you would want to take a look at this kind of thing.
What was maybe the most important or surprising finding?
Sure. It was something we expected because we've done a lot of testing, but so I wouldn't say it's surprising, but what we found is that some of these lists do a really good job of covering product emissions. Some of them don't, and that's because products have changed, but the lists haven't. So what you see, for instance, is some of the lists that the Europeans use that were more recently developed might do a better job of covering emissions from some types of products, whereas some of the older chemical lists in use might not do the same type of job.
So what do you think that these findings mean for the science community or product manufacturers even?
I think they're a starting point for research. I think they're a point where you've done some initial work, you know more work's needed, and so we need to do more data analysis to better classify what needs to be done next, because we've looked at a very limited set of products here. We want to look at other types of products. We've looked at primarily furniture and bedding, but it makes sense to look at other types of products that would emit differently. And so this is a really good starting point. I think it's something that other people haven't done, is to really take a look at emissions and rather than just use the same chemical list that people have always used, really figure out what needs to be done next. What's the next step in looking at product emissions and protecting consumers from exposure.
This is great. Thanks for chatting with us.
Sure.